Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 11th of January, 2023, and I have covered a lot over the weekend, like I was saying, but I didn't mention that when I was going through the Mazzaroth or the Mazzalot or the Zodiac or the constellations or whatever, in tracking it with our calendar system, our lunar and solar cycles. I failed to mention that I broke this down, like I went on various different sites and like broke down like the full moon and new moon periods, and that's how I was able to track it and I highly recommend people look at the books that I was recommending yesterday and the day before on and looking at astronomy and the zodiac and making those connections. And I did email a few people again in the last few days, and I did give them this stuff because it's not only very interesting, but it connects their pieces together too with people that are not only in all levels of government, but also other YouTube people that I'm trying to possibly get on their podcast or their show to discuss more of this stuff, because I did talk about the connection between the 12 disciples, and the zodiac and the constellations. But there's also like a lot of different stuff that you can look at online with Christian astrology, and then see the connections yourself that people have broken down. And there's Angel Fire. I'll just show you. Actually, maybe talks about Aries and Peter, Taurus and Simon, Gemini and James, Cancer and Andrew, Leo John, Virgo Philip, Libra Nathaniel, Scorpio Thomas, Sagittarius James, Capricorn Matthew, or Levi, Aquarius Thaddeus, and then Pisces Judas. There's a lot of things. Oh yeah, and even Bible search. Sorry, that's what you can look at as well. So if you want to look at, any of the different books, and then do a search of Mazzaroth, for example, if you want to see it in the Bible, various different Bibles, you'll see that there is one result for it. It does speak about it. Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? I've broken this down in other things regarding the connection with the zodiac and the Bible, and I highly recommend people take a look at it. And Santos Bonacci and those people. But I'll probably get more into that later. But like, I do want to say that in the last few days, I have had people reach out to me and say that they really appreciated the videos that I've been sharing, because it's led them on like a more truthful path, and getting them more of the reality of the world. And it's not just with the flat simulation Earth stuff, but it's also with like evolution and fossils and dinosaurs and space and oil and then even like the international politics stuff, right? Like the stuff that like I'm a high level security analyst, and that was my job and is my job. So like I'm fairly up to date on everything that's going on in the world as much as I can be, while also trying to get this stuff out there, because if we can make people realize that we've been lied to for hundreds, if not thousands of years, then about like so many different things, then it would make it easier to make the argument that even with this pandemic, that it was planned, just like so many other events throughout history. And yeah, so it takes like a lot of proof, right? Just like Occam's razor, right? Like bold claims need bold proof, or like anyways, like big claims need big proof. Big proof is the number 3 on that list. I'm just going over my notes again. Ken Wheeler. I shared information again on electricity, dielectricity, and magnetism. And Ken Wheeler, like I was showing how he puts magnets under different types of lights, and then you can see the toroidal fields, the fields that are created, and then you can see like areas that what could look like black hole areas on either side, and all very interesting stuff that I would highly encourage people to look at if they're interested in the science behind like the reasons why I don't see the world the way a lot of other people do, and then even with gravity, he destroys that like repeatedly, and shows just exactly what it is, and explains density and mass and all that stuff. Very, very interesting. I've already discussed oil and how it's the second most abundant liquid in the world, and hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, just because those are the components of it. They're trying to call it a fossil fuel, and that's only something that started in the last several decades, again, to like plant the seeds of the narrative to make something appear like that it's more scarce than what it is in order to exploit people, right? Like, and like supply and demand. I've taken macro and microeconomics. I understand supply and demand more than people that have not taken these courses, and plus it's fairly obvious too, right? Like when people are living in fear, they tend to be more easily swayed, more easily able to be controlled, and like they buy more, like the fight or flight kicks in. Like there's just so many different ways you can exploit a person by keeping them perpetually stuck and then not able to access their higher levels of consciousness or awareness or their higher emotions. Living in fear, that's the the first essentially like emotion that we learn, and then anger, and then like all of those other ones, like up to love and these things, and empathy and forgiveness and caring. And we're missing a lot of that in society now that we're living to be more self-centered and egotistical. And again, this is by design, and depending on what area you are from, and what like the culture like is for the majority in the areas that you're in. We talked about COVID. I'm just going over old notes just to make sure that I didn't forget anything really big. I still can't believe that we have people in leadership in Canada that are not in jail for like the level of corruption and the amount of conflict of interests that there have been and were throughout the pandemic, and even now. And Chrystia Freeland, like I just shared this like moments ago on my social media, but there's like minor investigations, like just like being questioned about attempting to steal $2 billion from Canadians. So let that sink in, right? She's talking to us about Disney Plus when she already makes six figures and then gets bonuses and all these other incentives and then lives a luxurious life, right? And then she gets so much stuff paid for her as well, and things managed for her, and I'm sure chores done for her house, right? And assisting with raising kids and all this stuff. So again, like, she was with a fake corporation name trying to smuggle, trying to like literally, this is treason. And so many other people within government as well, even Anita Anand, right, with her husband, that's part of like the COVID pandemic, exploiting us as well. Millions of dollars going to these people, and it's appalling that we're like people are not like getting upset enough to even call their local leaders, right, and say like just show their dissatisfaction, or call and show dissatisfaction, or urge these people to resign. And if there's any law enforcement people or people that are able to like use this information that I'm going to be sharing, like and again, you can find this on my social media, on my Twitter too, I reposted. You should be taking this information and you should be jailing these people. Like, there's enough information that I've given on social media alone, but like the stuff that I share on Signal and Telegram too, and on emails. Like this is stuff that like if any of us taxpayers like we're guilty of these same charges, like it would be a no-brainer. We would be in jail by now. And but no. Give $50 to a freedom convoy, and bank accounts these. And I'm gonna go on that point as well too, because they're talking now about like how there could be like monetary violence as well. Not just physical violence. And they're talking about ways that they can like disrupt these protests, right, when people want to speak out on authoritarian regimes and dictatorships. And by the way, the convoy, I'll reiterate, like Brian Fox, like the head of Enterprise, these are crisis actors and people that are paid to incite emotional responses in people. And he was trying to create a riot within that first weekend when they first came, the end of January, during a freezing, period, and thinking that people wouldn't go out and like film these things, but we did, in order to make it peaceful and call it out in a peaceful way, and say like, hey, these are riot and crisis actors that are part of this, that are exploiting us as well, and then trying to use our monuments and our homeless people, and then calling unvaccinated people like white supremacists and fringe minority and science deniers and stuff like that. Like it's still stuff that we're not like over yet, and people are already asking for amnesty. And again, like, people need to watch Died Suddenly. It's on Stu Peters. You're not going to find it on YouTube. You're not going to find it on social media. You're going to find this on Rumble. Well, I guess that is social media. But you're going to find it on uncensored social media platforms, because I've been deleted off of YouTube many times, and I've substantiated like the claims that I've made, and with proof. And even then, like strikes on my accounts and my stuff getting removed, showing like the original mRNA trials, and like just like stuff that was coming out of like like governments, like when I was following and tracking what was going on with the UK and Israel, and sharing that information, and leaked documents from Kieran Moore, like saying that like masks were ineffective, and more that and even on, anyway, where am I going with this stuff? Like, how are these people still in, and how are people able to honorably resign, like Jim Watson, decide when they want to leave, after taking so much money from us and exploiting us, and literally causing us to collapse from the inside. And yeah, it blows my mind. Wayne Eyre, he's still the chief of defense staff. I don't know how that's possible. When you're head of the military, you should not be enforcing and coercing like your like Canada's heroes to be mass inoculated from like a therapeutic, again, like what, like you didn't learn from methylquin or any of these other like anti-malarial or forced inoculations on people that have caused mass harm and death. Not only having learned from the past, but like was enforcing this on the entire population, and would have enforced this on civilians, innocent civilians, which is the point. Had people like me not like stood up and resisted peacefully, and continue to speak out on this stuff in a peaceful way, as peaceful as possible. Like sometimes I swear, obviously that's like, but, and people consider that, whatever, but suck it up, buttercup. Or anyway, our universities are broken. Like I've said, that I would really love to have some kind of an education minister and team, like do an overhaul of like what we're being taught at all levels, and incorporate so much into our teaching, and so many different cultures, and different ways of integrating into society in a more meaningful way, and also being more mindful of nature in the process. Yeah, I've already said that our country's independence is being jeopardized. Chrystia Freeland, by the way, this corrupt criminal demon, is on her way to Davos soon too, and I don't know how Canada and Canadians are still going to these. Like, I know that the Bank of Canada, they go every single year. That like the heads of the Bank of Canada and stuff like that. This year, again, the first time throughout recorded, or in the last 87 years, that they recorded a loss and of millions and millions of dollars, almost $100 million, and again over people like Chrystia Freeland. So, oh yeah, my point to the whole like financial harm being done because they're trying to say that if there's protests, and then this can stop like businesses from operating and stuff like that. Well, what about the people that are in charge right now in government that have completely crippled us and are also trying to steal $2 billion from us? I feel like that's more violent and more harmful than people trying to get these people out of government, right? Like, this is why we're doing it. Like, it's not just about, well, I mean, it's about a lot of things, but it's because these people are clearly unethical and immoral people, and they need to be taken out of government because they should not be leading anyone. They can't even lead themselves, as demonstrated, like, again and again and again and again every friggin' day. Oh, yeah, Joe Rogan. Like, I would really hope that he starts getting, like, he's had obviously like amazing people on, but like he does get people on that are controlled opposition, like Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever that idiot's name is, and he's, I'm probably annoying to listen to as well. It's in my birth chart, and I do believe in astronomy and how it's connected to astrology, and how the planets and constellations and sun and moon are aligned during like the day, like when you're born. I do believe there's significance to that, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people that do, and there are billionaires that do, right? And so I'm trying to be in that club if I can, and use that money in a peaceful way, and try to shed light to the whole like flat simulation Earth stuff, and evolution, and the fact that we're divine beings, and that we're lied to about so many different things. And I was just talking to this guy from the U.S. like again yesterday, and he was showing me information about how, like, even I've shared this before, even with Matthew DaCosta from Europe that traveled to North America, but Canada, and how he was well received by the locals because he looked like them, and he was black. And so this would lead me to believe that they were black as well. And then I look at all of these old black and white videos that were colorized and stuff like that are coming out of the US from like multiple different people, and they're showing proof, right, of like all these different like powwows and these different ceremonies and celebrations, and indigenous people all over the US too, where people were clearly black skinned, right? So not just what we're calling indigenous people, what we're seeing today of whatever skin color you want to like classify them, and us being, I don't know, peach. I have no idea. We're called white, but you know what I mean. I think like classifying people by skin color like has been also something that's been keeping us stuck, but like also misleading us about our history and our pasts, and making like certain groups appear to be more evil than others, when even I was saying to him as well, I'm like, yeah, like people like don't even know that like they feed agua, that there's been like sex slaves that have been like my skin color as well, all over the world, and still today there's places throughout the world where there's like my colored skin slaves, as well, and so it's all skin colors, it's all shapes, it's all sizes, it's all backgrounds, it's all religions, it's all freaking all languages, it's all it's it's all of it, right? And so this is why we need to cooperate collectively more, and try to like understand each other and empathize with each other more as a collective, because right now like we're getting so negative. Like look at the world, how it's going, right? It's not going well. Things are degrading, they're devolving, and the way out of this is through this, but in a more truthful, meaningful way, with all this stuff, and stop being lied to, and controlled opposition. There's people like even when I search YouTube, like I'll search flat earth, for example. I'll just keep it simple. I'll show you another example. So you'll see like even with me, and this is me going on, well, I'm not connected right now to a VPN for various different reasons, but I'll just show you. Proton is a good one. And I even have like a thing here that swivels so that you can hide your camera, and you can connect on so many different countries. I've already shared this before, but a quick connect, and at how even in this area here you can choose if you want to have just ads removed, or ads and malware, or trackers and stuff like that as well. Okay, and so let me even like refresh, and I'll just search flat earth, for example. I'll get these ridiculous videos. So top one here, 26 million views, right? So like it looks credible. Flat earth flat earth proven by independent research. Well, maybe it's because of my I love being proven wrong with this stuff. But this could be a troll one too.
The earth is flat. No joke. 100% serious. We are currently in North Carolina, and I'm going
I don't know if this is a troll parody account or
not.
not.
My friends simultaneously fly to Botswana, Africa, aka the other side of the earth. Once we are on exact opposite sides of the world, we have a test we want to perform. If this test fails, the earth is flat. I promise. So I'm waiting to board my flight, and I'm actually pretty nervous. What if the pilot isn't paying attention and accidentally flies off the side of the earth? The government says
okay, so yeah, it's a troll one.
Shield your eyes.
Okay, so yeah, this is my point, right? They'll even make you think that they're onto something, but they'll choose people that don't seem credible. This guy, Professor Dave, like he's a shell, like he's controlled opposition, and I'll go to maybe my history, maybe I'll have it up. But you go down the list, and there's so many different misleading videos out there that make it look like even like that's a flat earth. It seems legit, but it's not. Okay, we'll go to the NASA one here. Yeah, okay, so it's Flat Earth Sun Moon app.
The whole left versus right two-party system.
So if you go on this app right here, and you look at their videos, and this is something that you wouldn't see this, like you could scroll like through, I'm sure, like a lot, and you wouldn't get any of this stuff. It definitely wouldn't be like the top of your list. So yeah, so Professor Dave explains nothing. So he actually, Eric Dubay, he actually destroys Trevor Valle. Like Trevor Valle was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about dinosaurs and stuff like that. Anyways, Eric destroys his arguments, every single one that he had, and then and so this is what I mean when they put on these searches these people that are shills or trolls or controlled opposition, and then they make the flat earth stuff look so ridiculous. This is how people are getting like we're losing credibility, and I understand, and it's really hard, but this is why, like, look at my stuff that I'm sharing, and then do your own research as well, but then also look at the references that I'm sharing, like the books and stuff.
But some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
Yes, I
Guess you're right.
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
The horizon in general proves that the Earth is a sphere. It proves the curvature. The horizon is an artifact that would not exist if there were not curvature, right?
Horizon is optical. If you had a super zoom camera, you can zoom in and make this angular size bigger to reveal small objects that you couldn't see. And then when you zoom out, it goes back together and things disappear into the horizon, not over.
A horizon is an artifact that would not exist if there were not curvature.
So that's Dave Farina, Professor Dave, or whatever you want to call it, Flat Earth. Oh, sorry, not Flat Earth Day, but Professor Dave or whatever.
Also, our eyes are not
He's-
perfect machines, right? They
Wrong.
have limitations, physical limitations. They're denying things that we can see with our eyes. It's ridiculous. This is all based on naked eye observations and logic that anyone should be able to perform and understand. Anybody can do this. You look at things, you look at stars, you observe things.
See, those are zoomed in luminaries. What we're calling
Basic
planets.
logic that the Earth is a sphere. Could I have figured out heliocentrism, that the Earth goes around the sun? Absolutely not. There's no way I could have figured that out.
That requires really sophisticated observations through sophisticated telescopes and a lot of math.
Really sophisticated observation through sophisticated telescope, a lot of math.
We can't see the curve, right? Dave, according to your math,
Admitting they never went to the moon means nothing, right?
Yes, it means nothing because he did not say that.
Yes, he did.
There's that edit together dumb videos where they take this guy said this and this guy said that, and they go boo 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 and play it again in a row and pretend that people say things that they didn't say.
Buzz definitely did not say that.
We did go there, and that's the way it happened.
Buzz definitely did not say that.
We did go there, and that's the way it happened.
He also said it again, like I've shared that a couple of
What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking
days
about.
ago.
I'm already lost. I have no
a
idea
couple
what
weeks
you're
ago. He said it again
saying anything.
at a news conference.
What are you talking about? They're just not saying anything.
There is a movement, though, and it seems like. Do you think it's picked up some, or do you think it's slowing
No,
down?
it's in its death throes. Like, how many people are you going to trick? I mean, there's maximum a few thousand flat earthers in the entire world. Maximum a few thousand flat earthers in the entire world.
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
The scientific community should be trusted above all other sources. Seriously, we take this situation now, the sooner everything can
Go back to normal.
Water fluoridation has been the source of much conspiratorial thought over the decades.
Anyway, there you have it. Buzz Aldrin, again, I've shared him saying it on the record again to a kid that was in a motel lobby area, and yeah. And then again, a few weeks ago, he was saying it like he was literally like on a huge stage, looked to be like some kind of a like a stadium, like a university stadium, or what do you want to call it, like an indoor one. And once again, and I have even cosmonauts on the record. So like, if you look at these sites and don't look at like your top feeds or anything like that, like you're gonna get more information. Eric Dubay, Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac. It's a long name, I don't know, but anyway, Dave Weiss and Ken Wheeler and so many other people. And then if you want to go look into the advanced civilizations and technology stuff, then that's autodidactic. It's John Levy, Andreas Zertis. Anyway, there's so many people that you can look at, and I provide references and absolutely people like Santos Bonacci and Arcades as well. There's even Anacapulco, you know. There's people that look like they're on like the side of truth and humanity and stuff like that, or that are speaking out, you know, against like the enemy. You know what I mean? I don't know, like people's perceived enemies, but that people that are also, again, controlled opposition, whether they know it or not, right? People that are paid to say things and do things that are going to elicit responses in people to make them see things certain ways, and it's unfortunate that people fall for it because it's really, really hard, like, not to, right? People have, like, a lot of years and research invested into PSYOPs and studying human behaviors and how we respond to various different events. And so like there's just ways that people just keep on getting better at it, right? And they even use AI in order to assist. So it's like, and there's a lot more money in it to keep us perpetually stuck. So I get it. This is the zodiac wheel that I find very fascinating, that I was talking about in my last videos, but this is more broken down how that makes the connections with astronomy, literally with science and religions and the reality of the world, and how this is even connected to the sine waves of the reality and toroidal fields. I was watching like a very interesting video on China, and just how there are like a lot of people that are possibly not aware that the U.S., especially since World War II, like they own the seas, right? Like they control the majority of the maritime space and even the airspace, like in this world. And there was a lot of good points that were brought up too about like how there's like so many different places that are built up and surrounding, like essentially like bordering China, just like they're doing in Russia, like in so many different countries and regions in Europe, how they're staging and building up infrastructure, like military infrastructure, like close to Russia. That's been happening with China now for many years, right? And even using places like Taiwan as a staging area, and or like the glove of the iron, hammer or fist or whatever you want to call it. And so there's like a difference when I've said before too, when you have like monotheistic versus polytheistic religious cultures, where you have people that are like that, like it's Christians. The point was brought up how we're the ones that well, not we, I'm not a Christian, like well, I don't know, like I believe that there's at least one divine creator like that has created this artificial multidimensional simulation. But there's likely like again like many more, right? There's like and multiple different universes and things like that. But when you're like a monotheistic like believer, right? Like when you only believe in like one God, right? And it's like all or nothing, and all your eggs are in that basket, and you're being told that like other people that are not like believers of that like religion and that God are the infidel or the barbarians or savages and or whatever you want to call it, then it makes it easier for you to want to either take them over and or convert them. And so like there's people from many other different cultures, like even within India, for example, too, with the Hindu religion, where there's like multiple different gods, right? So like there's more there's more tolerance for people's like other belief systems and other gods, right? Because like they as well have like many gods. And so this is where like we need to also like look at, like the messaging that we're laying onto people, and how it can also be like a double-edged sword, or what you want to call it, and how like even a beautiful religion with a beautiful message can be used in a bad way if again, when there's like a lot of like misleading events also surrounding that, used to exploit people. And priests and popes and generals throughout time, kings and leaders have done this. And Christianity on another note is being banned in the Ukraine. I talked about that like in September, and how even like during the referendum when they were trying to vote to see if they to see like if people wanted to separate and join Russia or not, there were people that were political prisoners, people were arrested, there were people that were killed, there were people that were threatened that if they were to vote for Russia, then they there would be so many different sanctions, even jail time for people, and then even passports being denied for people. And the messaging also with non-tolerance for certain religious views, right? And Christianity right now is being pushed more in Russia, so I'm wondering why. I'm wondering if that's the reason, right? When you want to keep a conflict going, what do? Like different languages, different cultures, different religions, different narratives. I don't know. Like even the Great Wall of China, they were saying that they built it to keep people out. Yeah, long-range missiles, trillions for nuclear arsenals, war on space, and this was all under Barack Obama too, right? So this is why like this guy is not a good person for the U.S. or Canada or the world, and trillions of dollars invested and put into stuff that's BS, right? Like war on space. Like if this is again a multidimensional reality with toroidal fields that's being projected like on a flat plane existence, or whatever you want to call it, plane of inertia, then and looking at the rockets, looking at everything, that like how it's never gone beyond the dome, and you could see it, and there's been like even like independent people that have shown this as well, and showed that the sun and moon's more local to our environment, and again, people are admitting this, and there's so many different mistakes and errors that are being conducted in these with the green rooms, and it's just it's a lot. And so this is why, like, even with Trump, like, he also was someone that announced Space Force and was also pushing the jab in the beginning, and saying that he wanted it to be approved, and even in 2017 Fauci told him that there was going to be a pandemic during Trump's presidency. This is all planned and staged stuff, and Bill and Melinda Gates, like with their pandemic planning stuff, like they predicted, planned this stuff, and then the virus again was leaked, likely during military games that were being conducted there. Hyperboloid torus fields with reciprocating energy. It's like the lotus or sacred geometry. Yeah, even David Lapointe talks about redshift, blue shifts, primer fields, defining manner. He shows experiments. Defining manner and shows experiments is what I was meant to say. And then he even shows like these metal balls, iron, I believe, where he puts them like in between these positive and negative, like magnetic red and blue objects, and how they're like, it's almost perfect. Like, as soon as you add more in, they just they repel and attract each other. It's like, it's hard to explain. Like they'll never like connect, but they stay like a perfect like distance away from each other. And it's like 1 and 6 and 12, and 12 was like the clock and stuff like that as well. So it's all interesting stuff. Walter Russell too talks about cubes and counter space and things like that. So again, like, these people are well reputed scientists and experts that have done experiments and showed this stuff online. And while this is still up, I highly recommend people take a look at this stuff, because there's going to be more power outages, there's going to be more like electrical interruptions and whatever you want to call it, because of climate change, but because of, again, corporations and destruction / construction companies and realty companies and stuff like that, exploiting our resources and us pay the bill for it. And it's frustrating too that like we're paying taxes on water and on so many different things, and then paying like taxes like for purchases, and then paying property taxes, and then paying like annual taxes for stuff that's BS. That's like that's not real, right? And it could be invested and used to like significantly help out Canadians so much more, and so many different, like, again, more austere remote communities, and again, more research and exploration being conducted in Canada again, and trying to find ways to build back the land in areas that have been destroyed many times before. So yeah, what's going on in Davos in the next week or so? Conservatives wanted to make it clear that they're going to have no members there. I guess they want to stay clear, but now that they realize just how bad they are, and how like whenever they've gone to other countries, they've made things significantly worse, right? Yeah, I've shared some songs like Daku just in the last few days, and I would highly recommend people looking at songs from other countries, multiple different countries, and even traditional songs from Japan and so many other areas. And there's even a coffin song that's like that's an old Japanese song that's where the beat, I guess, is whatever you would want to call it, is being used in very popular music. And even with Daku, like, it sounds like a lot of like the beats and stuff like that in the background sounds like DJ Khaled songs. And so this has been stuff that's been going on forever. And even with like people that you think are like people that are super famous in North America, like very, very famous groups, there's people that have very similar songs and same beats, same chorus, same melody, or whatever you want to call it, in other countries. And then other people are very, very, very famous in those countries. And so this has been going on for a very long time. This is why, like, when people are more traveled and they get access to more of diverse lyrics and songs and beats and drums and instruments, it can really help their their careers. But again, I think this is shady stuff, right? Like this copying stuff that people do, and they release like the same kind of songs in different areas, and think that people are just like not gonna like ever like come across it just because like how many freaking songs are there in the world. But anyway, it is what it is. I think on that note, I don't know if there's a whole lot else I wanted to talk about. Yeah, it's a new year. I'm really hoping that we can have some kind of like a way to have accountability for people like Omar Algebra, whatever his name is, Kieran Moore, Chrystia Freeland, Vera Etches, Teresa Tam, Patty Hajdu, Justin Trudeau. These people need jail at a minimum. Jim Watson, Glenn Gower, like people in the area, like the heads of construction companies, and the bigger realty companies. Like these people, like at the top, need jail. Okay, like Canada needs to send a message that like we're not going to tolerate this stuff, right? Like this takeover. And or at least we're not going to take it like sitting down, right? I mean, a lot of people are, but like I'm hoping that again more people wake up and are getting more access to information that was censored that is possibly going to be like less censored if people that take over these sites do it specifically with the intent to have that censorship removed. But again, even with Elon Musk, not meaning to talk ill of him, but again, even with Tesla and with SpaceX, these are companies that I feel like are exploitative in nature. Possibly, if he's going to be not really honest about, again, like how we can harvest and harness electricity and utilize magnetism and dielectricity as well in a more effective way, and again stop lying about like satellites and all the stuff that's being used, and again like all this money that's being put into rockets. Yes, it's his money, but a lot of it's not his money too, right? Like these are all people that like work together, like beyond government, and are in the same groups, and this money can really be used in a much more impactful way to preserve the world that we have. Like, why are you talking about like Mars and this fake Mars stuff and moon stuff when we can create like environments within the world, like in the water, and this possibly humans, that look differently than us now because of how they evolved with underwater in underwater dome communities or not, that and in other areas, maybe even underground, that like we should be looking at these options more, and then looking at how we can implement nature into our designs as well, including wind and latitude and longitude. Anyways, I'm rambling on again. So on that note, I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.